Samaje back here, another WWE video. Today we're about to be reacting to 10 affairs that rocked pro wrestling. Man, there's not much you can really expect against people against wrestlers on the road because they're close together and on the road talking, probably going through the most like the same shit. Like they in it together. So like it sometimes lead to like their other significant other getting hurt, and it just doesn't really surprise me or nobody else.
Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 affairs that rocked professional wrestling. 10. Sable and Brock Lesnar. In 1999, Mark and Rena Mero, who performed as Sable, jointly walked out of WWE, with Rena subsequently filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the company alleging, among other things, sexual harassment. It was thought that the former women's champion would be blackballed from then on, but Sable shockingly returned to WWE 4 years later. Marvelous Mark wasn't by her side this time, however, and while the Christian couple believed their marriage could survive Sable being back on the road, something happened. That something was Brock Lesnar. Mark began to suspect all was not right with his wife and had his suspicions confirmed when he heard a damning voicemail Brock had sent Rena. The former Intercontinental Champion initially had designs on sorting out whoever it was that was screwing around with his woman before he found out it was the next big thing. Still, the affair led to the end of their marriage, and the divorce devastated Mark, who was also battling substance abuse issues and had just lost both parents, with him even considering ending it all during a rock-bottom moment one Christmas day. Thankfully, he didn't and is now thriving in life while Brock and Rena married and had children. Number 9.
Bro, that's sad to think about, bro. And like you thinking about ending it all, you don't think about the repercussions when people cheat. They don't like really think about the repercussions that like make it fall upon other people. It's really fucked up that they don't really think about that. And he was like an alcoholic at the time too. That's what just literally makes everything more sadder. Shit. And like he couldn't really do nothing because that's Brock Lesnar, a fucking freak of nature, a huge ass dude, and that was before his MMA days. Shit.
Dawn Marie and Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle may have at one point had the reputation of being the squeaky clean all-American boy who won Olympic gold for his country with a broken freaking neck no less, but that perception changed after Kurt had been in the professional wrestling business for a couple of years. There were rumors of various backstage affairs during his first WWE run, including with fellow SmackDown star Dawn Marie. Though Angle never publicly admitted to the affair, Marie did confirm it was true, it was damn true, during a 2008 RF video shoot interview. Not only did the affair result in Marie breaking off her engagement to former ECW wrestler Simon Diamond, it clearly caused trouble in the Angle household too, as Kurt's ex-wife Karen referenced it in a stinging tweet from January 2023. Karen's tweet also suggested that her then-husband fooled around with Kelly, though she flat out denied it. Some have even suggested that Kurt was the father of Dawn's daughter, who was born in 2005, but that theory has been shot to.
Damn, that's shocking. I didn't think Kurt Angle had all of those. Like, I mean, well, I can't think of the expression, but I didn't think he had all of that in the background.
Lizzie Borden and the Messiah. There was never a dull moment in XPW, the ultra-violent indie promotion owned by controversial adult movie producer Rob Black. Black's two business ventures often overlapped, with his own wife, the adult movie star Lizzie Borden, getting involved in her hubby's wrestling league. One of her roles in XPW was to act as the valet of top star the Messiah, who became XPW champion with Borden by his side. As they were working together, the two grew close and ended up having an affair. Now, Black wouldn't have had a problem if the two were making whoopee on camera, but doing it behind his back was a different story, and he vowed revenge on Messiah. The former champ was exiled from XPW, with Black telling him he had just days to live and better leave California or else. Messiah didn't and paid for it when two goons attacked him in his home and cut his thumb off. Black denied any involvement, and since police couldn't directly link him to the assault, he was never charged. Most that were close to the situation remain convinced that he orchestrated the attack, however, and Messiah now lives with a daily reminder of the tryst that almost cost him his life. Number 7. Mickie James and John Cena.
That's a goddamn shaky ass thing to do, bro. You fooling around with a promoter's girl and that shit happening, you ordering goons on him?
John Cena was famously once engaged to Nikki Bella, but she was not the first female member of the WWE locker room that Big Romantic John had been linked with. Cena and Mickie James became involved when they were both on the Raw brand in late 2007, around the time that they shared a few scenes on screen. There was just one problem though. Well, a couple of problems actually, in that James was engaged to Kenny Dykstra at the time, while Cena planned to wed his high school sweetheart Elizabeth Huberdeau. According to Dykstra, he found out about the affair when he caught his fiancée googling Mickie James and John Cena dating, and she subsequently broke down and admitted the affair when confronted. Dykstra further alleged that he was moved from Raw to SmackDown after his discovery before being jobbed out and then fired, while he claimed that James was later transferred to the Blue brand after she flipped out when Cena decided to end the relationship. Mickie is currently married to Nick Aldis, while Cena is married to somebody who has no ties to the wrestling business. Dykstra, meanwhile, works as a coach at the WWE Performance Center. Number 6. Melina and Batista. Perhaps John, Mickie, and Kenny could have learned something from observing the situation that developed.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I told you Cena was a fucking heel, but all jokes aside, sucks.
Melina, Batista, and John Morrison not too long beforehand. All three were on the SmackDown roster when, at some point in 2006, Big Dave and the Diva became an item. Batista, it should be noted, was officially divorced from his second wife Angie at the time, while the Animal has also claimed that the relationship began while Melina and her long-term boyfriend John Morrison were separated. Despite Batista's claims, some in the SmackDown locker room didn't approve of the situation, nor did they appreciate Morrison's perceived pacifism about the whole thing. That didn't get a whole lot better when Batista and Melina broke up and she went back to Jomo. Truth is, both Melina and Batista had heat back then for different reasons, and them being together only magnified things. As did Melina being taken to so-called wrestler's court, where she was convicted on charges of divaism, something Batista wasn't happy about when he found out about it later, and caused resentment between him and prosecutor Booker T, which ultimately resulted in their infamous fight. In his autobiography, Batista said he didn't care about the controversy and loved Melina very much. Number 5. Sunny and Shawn Michaels. WWE fans couldn't get enough of Sunny, arguably the first diva who was literally AOL's most downloaded celebrity of 1996. What the vast majority of fans didn't realize was that Tammy Sytch's heart belonged to Shawn Michaels, despite the fact that she was already in a relationship with high school sweetheart Chris Candido, who wrestled for WWE as Body Donna Skip. There's some debate as to whether Michaels and Sunny began the affair, which Sytch would later recount in excruciatingly intimate detail, while she and Candido were together, or as Sytch contends, separated. Regardless, many backstage took exception to the Heartbreak Kid's dalliance, both because Chris was well liked and they felt sorry for him given how blatant the lovers were being, and because Shawn had nuclear heat in some circles to begin with. According to Sytch, the affair eventually ended because Michaels had designs on moving her to Texas, and she was worried what Candido would do if she ended it with him for good. Shawn, ever the pot stirrer, would later imply that Sunny was sleeping with Bret Hart, which both denied. In any event, Sytch and Candido got back together and were a couple until his death in 2005, while Michaels is happily married to former Nitro girl Whisper. Number 4. Zara Schreiber and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are one of professional wrestling's.
I remember hearing about this, bro. Like, it was kind of wild hearing that, and she exposed my boy Seth Rollins back in the day for some pictures, bro. Ugh. It was just just nasty. I heard whatever they said.
Power couples these days, but before he was the man's man, Seth experienced a few bumps on the rocky road to true love. In February of 2015, it was revealed in the most explicit of ways that Rollins was seeing NXT prospect Zara Schreiber. Not just seeing, but seeing her behind the back of his fiancée Layla Schultz, who naturally did not take the news of the affair well and went on a social media tear which included posting nude photos of the architect on Twitter. Meanwhile, an intimate selfie of Zara appeared on Seth's socials, which was briefly displayed on WWE's main website as they automatically reposted from the ex-Shield members' feed. Rollins apologized for the posts, broke up with Schultz, and continued his relationship with Zara. Far from punishing Seth for this messy business becoming public, WWE in fact made him WWE champion about a month later. Things got even messier that August when WWE fired Zara after it was discovered she had posted pro-Nazi photos years earlier. Seth stood by her initially, but they called it quits in February of 2016. Zara would later date Sonya Deville, but no longer has any ties to the wrestling business. Number 3, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley was, along with Shawn Michaels, responsible for getting fellow Killer Kowalski trainee Joni Laura a job with WWE in 1996 as D-Generation X's bodyguard Chyna. Soon after, the two began dating, though they initially hid their relationship from others. In time, however, they became open about it and eventually got engaged. While they were together in real life, in the fantasy world of WWE television, Triple H began a relationship with Stephanie McMahon.
On second thought, I'll take that back because at the beginning of the video, I said Matt Hardy and I think Edge and Lita was the most notorious. This was the most popular before that ever came, which is fucking crazy because of how things played out. And I'm just like mad at how like China was treated.
Fantasy ultimately became reality, and the game and the billion-dollar princess started having a secret affair. Laura suspected that something was amiss and had her worst fears realized after discovering a love letter that Stephanie had written her fiancé stashed in his briefcase. Chyna confronted Hunter about it and the two broke up, but the heartbreak didn't end there for the ninth wonder of the world, as potential issues between her ex and the boss's daughter played a part in WWE's decision to not renew her contract, though her demand for $1 million downside guarantee was also a factor. Triple H and Stephanie would marry and have children, while Chyna's life continued to unravel until she sadly passed away in 2016. Number 2, Nancy Sullivan and Chris Benoit. In order to spice up his feud with Chris Benoit, Kevin Sullivan devised an angle that would see his wife and manager Nancy, aka Woman, have a kayfabe affair with the Crippler. Sullivan, who was helping to book WCW at the time, determined that in order for the storyline to work properly, Chris and Nancy had to keep the act up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That meant traveling together, eating in public, sharing hotel rooms, and so on. The two fell in love, and during one fateful trip to Japan, the relationship became physical. Now, not only was Nancy married to Kevin at the time, but Chris was married to a woman called Martina, who he had 2 children with. Having crossed the boundary and realizing they wanted to be an item, Chris and Nancy divorced their respective spouses and began living together. This caused considerable tension between Chris and Kevin Sullivan, and while they remained professional, the physicality on display during their matches was certainly telling. There was, of course, no happily ever after for the Benoits, who married in 2000, or their 7-year-old son Daniel, whose lives ended in tragedy. Number 1, Lita and Edge. When Matt Hardy went down with a
It's really hard to even just speak on that whole situation, man. And like, it really sucks that like they really did not get like at least a happy ending as you can say, because like just the whole thing that kind of followed that, bruh. I I just would I just wish she just never like went with Chris, because like that's just it was just like a whole rabbit hole you just didn't want to go down with that, in a whole rabbit hole of tragedy.
torn ACL and needed to sit at home for several months following knee surgery, he trusted that his close friend Adam Edge Copeland would look after his girlfriend Amy Lita Dumas on the road. After all, Matt and Adam were very close friends, Amy and Adam were very close friends, and Adam had only just recently married his second wife Lisa. What could possibly go wrong? Well, while traveling on the road together and being each other's shoulders to cry on while they were away from their partners, Adam and Amy grew closer. A lot closer, like close enough to kiss and goodness knows what else. Matt sensed that something was up when Amy wasn't acting herself at home, and the explicit texts and voicemails he found on her phone told him exactly what had been going on. Their resulting breakup was very messy and very public, resulting in WWE letting Matt
Oh my god. Yep. That was whole just messy. The whole thing. This whole thing was just messy, and this whole this whole video was just messy, man. What he just told us about these people. Only one kind of like ended in a real bad tragedy, and that was the Benoits, man. Rest in peace to them. But hey, if you guys want to see more videos like this, and you want to, oh my god. But if you guys want to see more videos about these wrestling videos, like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a sub because I really need that right now. We on the road to 200 subscribers. Dude, I keep fucking up. But all right, catch you guys later.